So the Bank of Canada went ahead and they cut interest rates by 0.25%. We said the market yesterday already had done that for them. So we knew that this was coming. But once again, they are ignoring their own indicators, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And I listened to the whole conference, the whole press conference, so you don't have to. And I'll give you the key takes of that. And also there was talk of quantitative easing, QE, money printing, whatever you want to call it, excuse me. There was talk of it in that conference. So the Bank of Canada cuts key interest rate for the first time since March, bringing the policy rate to 2.5%. This is what it looks like on Trading Economics here. It's come down to 2.5% after they paused here. We're just going to go into a little bit about what they were asked during this press conference, because I think it's hilarious. And even one of the reporters, I'm so glad, asked the question on basically why they're ignoring their own indicators. So take a listen to this.
Greg Quinn from Market News, please.
Good morning to you both. You are cutting interest rates, as you say, with core inflation at 3%, the top of your band. You're also looking at wider measures, and you say that those are 2.5%. You know, given how upset Canadians were when inflation jumped after the pandemic, aren't you taking some kind of a risk here with inflation pressures?
Well, Greg, I do want to underline that, as you said, Canadians remain concerned about the cost of living. And our primary mandate is to maintain low, stable inflation, and we are very focused on that. I mean, total inflation.
And by the way, just to give you an idea here of what was talked about in the conference, you know, he just said the primary mandate is price stability. You know, it isn't the economy. It's not the jobs market. Yet once again, they're ignoring that. So it's just absolutely hilarious. Just take a listen.
Is 1.9%. It's been running slightly below 2 since April, largely as a result of the elimination of the consumer carbon tax. If you look at, yes, you know, trim and median are running around 3%, as I indicated in response to Paul's question. If you look at the more recent monthly readings, they're running around, you know, if you look at like the 3-month moving average, it's about 2.5%. And if you look at a range of other core measures, you look at like traditional exclusion measures, CPIX, food and energy, CPIX, they're sort of 2.4, 2.6. If you look at the percentage of
So basically, there you go. The Bank of Canada just admits there that, yes, we are cutting rates whilst inflation is high, even by our measures of inflation. I mean, they just ignore their own fucking indicators. I mean, it's quite hilarious, to be honest. But this is the clown world that we live in. But yeah, I want to get on to another question that was asked around 48 minutes into this, which was about QE, which is pretty interesting that came up.
Escalation scenario where there's a significant escalation of tariffs, U.S. tariffs.
This is about QE.
The Canadian economy does go into recession.
It's already in recession, mate.
Certainly, the situation would be worse. Having said that, I still think we'd be a long way from quantitative easing, and obviously in the de-escalation scenario.
So there you go. Basically, he said there that even if the Canadian economy is in recession, and it's already in recession, you know, the Bank of Canada is doing something absolutely hilarious here, which is what all central banks do. They are trying to predict the future by looking in the rearview mirror. They're trying to drive forward by looking in the rearview mirror, because all the data that they get, I mean, in all honesty to them, is corrupted because it comes from the government. It should come from an independent third party, but it doesn't. It comes from the government. So there's a political bias just in the data on its own. And, you know, you had some absolutely hilarious reactions because Doug Ford put, I've been clear, the Bank of Canada needs to cut interest rates. I mean, it was the reactions to this post that were absolutely hilarious. No, the government needs to deport all the people that came here over the last 10, maybe 25 years. Best way to protect workers in Ontario and Canada is to cut third world immigration that you support for cheap labor. Ontario has 1.5 million people visiting food banks, and we're going to get onto that because the statistics are even more devastating than that when it comes to it. And then Trump's fucking tariffs didn't cause our country to be a third world shithole, you lying pig. Oh dear, oh dear. But yes, and even people are sick of it, just like the polls are saying, stop blaming Trump, when we all know Canada has dropped on the quality of life index, and it basically says Canada's middle class under Stephen Harper was considered the richest in the world, richer than the United States. But under Trudeau, half of Canada's provinces, are poorer than West Virginia. I mean, it's just absolutely mind-boggling, but that is what is happening to Canada. Better Dwelling put out this before the Bank of Canada came in and cut. Bank of Canada's core inflation measures remain critically high. And this is the acceleration. This is all the data that came out yesterday. And you can see, I mean, it doesn't look like much things are slowing down there. You had one thing that was negative, and that was transportation. A lot of other things were up significantly. So once again, and as somebody said in the chat there, yes, inflation is theft. That is exactly what inflation is. Inflation is essentially a tax. It's just that people don't realize it. So, you know, them saying that they're going to devalue all your money 2% per year, that's a tax, and it is theft. And that's exactly what is happening. And then you're looking at gold here, which is interesting because that is springboarding. Looks like it's going to go and hit another all-time high in Canadian dollars. Interestingly enough, when you actually look at the Canadian dollar, it's down today, but it's still, you know, holding significantly off the lows that we're seeing earlier this year. And then if you look at the 5-year fixed rate mortgage here, that actually, I saw that was up, but still it's gone down significantly. So the bonds have been trading down, which has been going against a lot of countries like the UK, where you've seen longer dated bonds that are actually rising in cost. And it looks like they're heading into a fiscal crisis. And this is all occurring as the Bank of Canada could be, I mean, as Mark Carney could be coming out with a massive deficit. I say could be. Oh, it's fucking guaranteed. It's baked in that he's going to do this. And here's a clip from the man himself.
Just on the upcoming budget, your House leader said this morning that the deficit will be, quote, substantial. How big are we talking, and what does that mean for future cuts?
Yeah, I thank you for the question. I responded a bit, but I'll recap it. Substantial means it'll be bigger than it was last year. And let's look at why that's the case. I mean, the actual
Oh, wait, I already know this.
Will
Trump?
come out with the budget. But let's look at what's driving that.
Tariffs? Oh.
First and foremost, it's the tariff war.
Oh, yeah. How did we all know that that was going to be the excuse? And guess what? That means more waste. And that also distorts all the figures we get about the economy, because all of a sudden, all that extra money that is being flushed into the GDP appears, and that can make the economy actually look stronger than it actually is. And a deficit, all that money is new money. That is printing of money. So that's essentially what governments are coming in to do now, even without the Bank of Canada. So believe it or not, money printing is already happening. It's just increasing as the government is going to come in and print more deficits. That's new money that's coming into the system, and it is not a good thing at all. And then basically also Mark Carney wants you to live in a shipping container.
Challenge with housing construction in this country is that by using conventional methods, our construction is just too slow for the housing supply that we need to meet our current needs. It's also too expensive and too heavily reliant on traditional on-site methods.
So we need shipping
containers. We need to
containers.
transform the way we build by harnessing the latest technologies. And that's why Build Canada Homes will prioritize the use of cost-efficient and modern methods of construction. including
and it's going to be modular homes, and his blind trust is already investing in that. So you know that that is coming down the pipe, and basically it's probably going to look like this. You're going to live in this dystopia where these are for sale for $3 million. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Sean Fraser there, and look at the homes that are behind him, or the parts of homes. I mean, these are the type of things that the government is pushing. They're literally turning the country into a third world place. And then you basically got this clip, which is about the situation of how bad food insecurity is in Canada. Take a listen to this.
So breaking this hour, a new report from Food Banks Canada that food insecurity in this country continues to rise. But some help and some relief in the way of new government programs. The report gives Canada a failing grade on food insecurity. 25.5% of households are struggling to afford food, and that is up from 18.4% in 2023. Canada got a failing grade for unemployment. The report says it has risen 34%.
There you go, unemployment again. And we have stats that are coming tomorrow that we will be covering probably live tomorrow, which is the EI statistics, because this is really going to show how bad it got. These are reported like 2 months behind. So we're talking about July numbers, but that's when the job market got significantly worse. So it'll be incredibly interesting to see what those numbers look like. But once again, you know, when you cannot afford to feed, when people can't afford to buy food in your country, it is a total depression. I mean, that's literally the shit that you saw in the Great Depression, was people lining up at bread lines, soup kitchens, those type of things. It's happening in Canada. It's just some people are so brain dead that it's almost like they go around with their eyes closed and they can't see it. But you have all these statistics. You can't fucking argue against the statistics. They are there. And the country, Canada, is imploding and it's being destroyed. And, you know, Mark Carney, he is just continuing the campaign of insanity that Justin Trudeau started. And the Conservatives before that, I would argue, also laid the foundation to a lot of the problems that are present today. That's why I believe, like, left and right, there's no one representing the libertarian anymore in Canada. I mean, I think the Conservatives will do things better. I think they'll have some better policies, but will they change the course and direction and standard of living? I don't think so. I don't even think the government is that big yet, but they want it to be that big. That's the real thing. And then the Fed is coming out later today in a couple of hours, and they're going to announce their rate cut, likely going to be a 25 basis point rate cut. And this is happening in the United States. Searches for help with mortgage surpassing 2008 financial crisis. So this is still but Canada's biggest trading partner. So, you know, if the US is slipping into a recession, that means Canada's economy is going to do even worse. If you can fucking imagine it, it's already in a depression. What is it going to be like in a year from now? And that's why I said bookmark that tweet that I posted on X about the Bank of Canada and QE, because I think they'll be changing their tune a year from now, and they might already be doing it. And then Hilliard posted this. I interviewed him earlier this week, and I'll have that coming in the coming weeks. Great interview. Always learn so much from that guy. The industrial implosion. Just look at Canada compared to the United States. So who is winning? Let me know in the comments in the chat. Is it Canada or the United States? I mean, this is completely insane. But take a look at when these lines start diverging. 2010. It's around 2010 when those lines start diverging. It's not 2015. It's 2010. And that is really interesting. You've got overnight repos that have soared, and we're going to get into this in another video, but there is one chartered bank in Canada, reported earnings, everything looks great, but you look on their balance sheet and what the hell happened, and I just cannot believe it. You've got like the debt to equity exploding over 700%. I mean, it's absolutely insane, but it warrants a completely separate video because there's a lot of nuance there, obviously, as well. now. And then what do you think of this? Because I think this is more fair. Politicians in Canada are earning 200 to 300,000. They are part of the top 5% of incomes. Some near the top 1%, especially when you're adding in all their expenses. How did the top 5% speak for the 95%? I mean, how does that work? It's just absolutely crazy. What if politicians only earned what the median worker earns? That's what I'm suggesting here. Suddenly boosting the economy might matter more than padding their own pockets. And it is insane that you've now got people running the country who are completely disconnected with the middle class. They say they represent you, but they fucking don't. Just take a look at the numbers. They're part of the top 5%. They are creaming it. Government has become a grift. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're sat on. And I would like to see another house, because the democracy as we know it in Canada is messed up. You almost need another house now that represents the plebs, that represents the middle class, because that is missing. That is clearly missing in politics. And it's not just in Canada, it's also the same in the UK. It's also the same in many Western countries. And then Freeland is gone. She's not a member. Somebody saying here, yeah, I heard that Freeland is gone, but she's still going to be an envoy. She's still going to be being paid by the Canadian government. So she gets to walk off into the sunset. And now she's got this new cushy job. She's still on the government's payroll. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. What do these people get? What are the consequences for all their bad decisions, for all their corruptions? Nada, nothing. That's really the reality of what's happening. It's just absolutely insane. And then, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. The standard of living in Canada, as we know it, is collapsing. And please let me know in the comments below what you think about the Bank of Canada. Do you think that they'll be doing QE a year from now? The government is already doing QE. They're going to be printing more deficits. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for tuning into this live stream, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.